Naperville, Illinois was ranked one of the safest suburbs in America. Perfect schools, perfect lawns, perfect neighbors. But in the summer of 2024, one man heard a sound next door that didn't belong. A thump, a cry, then silence. Everyone else ignored it. He didn't. Because sometimes the most dangerous secrets live behind the nicest houses. I'm Mr. Gray, retired investigator. These are the stories that never left me. Naperville, Illinois, sprawled like a well-manicured postcard just 30 miles west of Chicago's towering skyline, embodied the quintessential American suburb. In the summer of 2024, with the economy rebounding from pandemic scars and inflation finally easing, families flocked here for its blend of small-town charm and big city access. Ranked repeatedly as one of the best places to live by Money Magazine and Niche.com, Naperville boasted top-tier schools like Naperville Central High, where graduation rates hovered near 95% and sports teams dominated DuPage County. Commuters caught the Metra BNSF line downtown for jobs at firms like Allstate or BP, returning to wide streets lined with mature oaks, bike paths weaving through prairies, and the scenic Riverwalk, a 2-mile loop along the DuPage River with paddle boats, ice cream stands from Culver's, and summer concerts featuring cover bands playing REO Speedwagon and Chicago hits, staples of Midwestern nostalgia. Life here was authentically Midwestern. Friday night football games under the lights at Naperville North or Central, where parents in hoodies cheered from bleachers with hot cocoa from Jewel Osco thermoses or Starbucks drive-through cups. Weekends at the Centennial Beach, a man-made swimming hole with sandy shores, lifeguards in red trunks blowing whistles, and families picnicking with sandwiches from Potbelly. And community events like the last Fling Festival over Labor Day weekend, with carnival rides from local vendors, craft beer tents pouring Goose Island IPAs, and fireworks that lit up the prairie sky, drawing oohs and ahs from crowds in lawn chairs. Homes averaged $500,000, with property taxes funding pristine parks like the Springbrook Prairie Forest Preserve, where joggers and Nike running shoes pounded trails amid wildflowers, and a police department known for quick response times, averaging under 5 minutes for emergencies, thanks to a fleet of Ford Interceptors and community-oriented policing that included bike patrols and neighborhood watch meetings at the Municipal Center. Crime was low in Naperville. Mostly petty thefts from unlocked cars in mall parking lots like Fox Valley, or the occasional DUI after happy hour at Brick House Tavern and Tap, where locals downed old fashions and watched Bears games on big screens. Neighbors knew each other by name, waved from mailboxes while fetching the Chicago Tribune or Sun-Times, and organized block parties with potlucks of hot dish casseroles, Johnsonville bratwurst grilled on Weber kettles, and Jell-O salads made with Cool Whip from Aldi. It was the kind of place where Amazon packages sat on porches all day without worry, kids sold lemonade from stands on sidewalks for charity, and Halloween saw hundreds of trick-or-treaters in costumes from Target or Spirit Halloween collecting full-sized candy bars from generous homeowners. Willow Creek Lane was a prime example, a quiet cul-de-sac in the South Side's White Eagle neighborhood, where colonial-style homes with 3-car garages, stamped concrete driveways, and vinyl siding in neutral tones housed professionals chasing the American dream. Kids rode bikes in circles around the turnaround, drawing chalk art on sidewalks with Crayola sets from Walmart, while dads mowed lawns on John Deere riding mowers bought from the local dealership, and moms chatted over Starbucks lattes from the nearby drive-thru on Ogden Avenue or iced teas brewed at home with Lipton bags. It had that suburban rhythm, school buses from District 204 dropping off kids at 3 p.m., UPS trucks delivering packages from Wayfair or Best Buy, and evening dog walks with golden retrievers or labradoodles on leashes from PetSmart. At 1427 Willow Creek lived the Reynolds family, a typical Naperville clan. Tom Reynolds, 52, was a claims manager at Allstate Insurance's headquarters in Northbrook, a 45-minute commute on I-88, where he'd listen to WBBM News Radio 780 for traffic updates, Cubs scores during baseball season, or podcasts like the Joe Rogan Experience on his iPhone mounted to the dash. Balding with a neatly trimmed salt and pepper goatee, Tom favored khaki shorts and polo shirts from Kohl's in the summer, grilling burgers on his Weber Genesis grill every Sunday afternoon while sipping Miller Lite from a koozie emblazoned with the Bears logo. His wife, Karen, 50, taught 4th grade at Elmwood Elementary School, where she organized field trips to the Naperville Settlement Historic Village, baked chocolate chip cookies for class parties using Nestle Toll House chips, and participated in PTA meetings at the school gym, discussing fundraisers like candy bar sales or jogathons. Their daughter, Abby, 17, was a straight-A student at Naperville Central High School, captain of the varsity volleyball team that practiced at the school's gym, and obsessed with her Instagram feed, posting selfies from Starbucks runs on Route 59 or hikes in the DuPage Forest Preserve with friends in Lululemon athleisure. Jake, 12, was all boyish energy, playing Fortnite in the basement rec room on his Xbox, practicing baseball in the backyard with his Rawlings glove and Louisville Slugger bat, and begging for the latest Nike cleats from Dick's Sporting Goods at the mall. Tom's days were a grind of suburban routine. Up at 6 a.m. for a jog along the DuPage River Trail, a 5K loop through prairie grasses, underpasses occasionally tagged with graffiti by local teens, and past joggers in Under Armour gear waving hello. A quick shower with Dove soap, breakfast of Cheerios with 2% milk and black coffee from a Keurig, then the drive to work, stopping at the McDonald's drive-thru for a McMuffin if running late. At the office, it was meetings in conference rooms with whiteboards, analyzing flood claims from Midwest storms, and lunches at Portillo's for Italian beef sandwiches dipped in au jus, or salads from Sweetgreen for healthier days. Evenings involved helping Jake with math homework at the kitchen table, watching Chicago Fire or Chicago PD on NBC with Karen on the sectional couch from IKEA, or scrolling Zillow for dream vacation homes in Door County, Wisconsin. Weekends meant yard work, mowing with earbuds blasting classic rock from Spotify playlists featuring bands like Styx or Cheap Trick, or trips to the Naperville Farmers Market at Fifth Avenue Station for fresh corn, tomatoes, and artisan breads from local vendors. Life was good for the Reynolds. Predictable, comfortable, the kind of stability that came from hard work and community ties. Tom volunteered at the local VFW Post 3873, sharing war stories from his brief Army stint in the 90s, and Karen ran the neighborhood book club, where a dozen women gathered monthly at rotating homes to discuss thrillers like Gone Girl by Gillian Flynn, or feel-good reads like The Book Thief by Marcus Zusak, paired with wine from Binny's Beverage Depot and cheese platters from Whole Foods. Next door, at 1429 Willow Creek, were the Hargroves, who seemed to fit the suburban mold perfectly. David Hargrove, 48, worked as a software engineer at Motorola Solutions in Schaumburg, a 30-minute drive on I-90, where he'd code algorithms for public safety radio systems used by police departments across the country, sipping Dunkin' coffee from a Yeti tumbler during conference calls. Tall and lean, with wire-rimmed glasses from LensCrafters and a receding hairline he hid under Chicago Cubs caps from the team store at Wrigley Field, David was the helpful neighbor type. Snowblowing driveways after blizzards with his Ariens blower from Home Depot, lending his pressure washer without question for spring cleaning, and fixing bikes for the cul-de-sac kids with tools from his organized garage workbench. His wife, Lisa, 46, was a stay-at-home mom with a neat bob haircut styled at the local Great Clips, yoga pants from Lululemon bought on sale, and a Toyota Sienna minivan full of grocery bags from Trader Joe's or Aldi. She volunteered at the Naperville Community Food Pantry, sorting canned goods and boxed meals for families in need, organized Easter egg hunts in the cul-de-sac with plastic eggs from Dollar Tree filled with Hershey's Kisses, and baked zucchini bread for new neighbors using recipes from Pinterest. Their son, Ethan, 15, was the quiet type, enrolled at Waubonsee Valley High School, where he took AP computer science classes, spent afternoons playing Call of Duty on his PlayStation in the basement, and skateboarding at the Commissioner's Park ramp with friends in Vans sneakers and hoodies from Zoomies at the mall. The Hargroves attended Grace Point Church on Sunday mornings, where Lisa sang in the choir, and David helped with the AV setup for services broadcast on YouTube. The two families got along like most neighbors in Naperville, surface-friendly, with shared moments that built community. Summer barbecues in the backyard, where David manned the grill flipping Johnsonville brats and Oscar Mayer hot pogs, while Tom supplied the Bud Light and Coors Light from the cooler. Christmas light competitions, with both houses decked in multicolored LEDs from Menards and inflatable Santas from Lowe's. And casual waves over morning coffee runs to the Starbucks on 75th Street or Dunkin' on Washington. When the power went out during a storm, David was the first to offer his generator, And when Tom's mower broke, David fixed it with parts from AutoZone. But Tom had always sensed something off about David. It was hard to pinpoint at first, the way his eyes lingered a second too long on Abby when she washed her Honda Civic in the driveway on sunny Saturdays, wearing shorts and a tank top from American Eagle, or how his garage light burned late into the night, shadows flickering behind the closed door like he was working on something secretive, perhaps pacing or assembling something in the dark. Karen laughed it off when Tom mentioned it over dinner one night as they ate carry-out pizza from Lou Malnati's with deep dish pepperoni. "You're paranoid from all those true crime podcasts you listen to on your commute, Tom. David's just a tinkerer, probably building drones for Ethan's science fair, or fixing up that old Commodore 64 he mentioned once." Tom tried to dismiss it. After all, in Naperville, where the biggest scandals were HOA disputes over fence heights or kids TPing houses on mischief night before Halloween, suspicion felt out of place. The city had a crime rate half the national average, with police hosting coffee with a cop events at McDonald's and community alerts via the Nixle app for things like loose dogs or suspicious solicitors. But deep down, in that Midwestern gut honed from years of harsh winters, economic ups and downs in the Chicago area, and the quiet vigilance that came from living in a place where everyone seemed perfect on the surface, Tom felt a chill that he couldn't ignore. The unease began on a humid June evening, the kind where the air hung heavy with the promise of thunderstorms rolling in from the prairie west of the city, dark clouds gathering over the Illinois Research Corridor. The cul-de-sac was alive with the sounds of early summer. Kids like Jake and his friends shrieking on trampolines in backyards, the distant buzz of lawnmowers trimming Bermuda grass, and classic rock, perhaps Journey's Don't Stop Believin' or Bon Jovi's Livin' on a Prayer, wafting from someone's Bluetooth speaker connected to an iPhone, the anthem of Midwestern resilience. Tom was out back in his yard, flipping T-bone steaks from Mariano's on the grill, the sizzle mixing with the scent of Kingsford charcoal and A1 steak sauce slathered on generously. Karen was inside the kitchen, prepping a salad with fresh tomatoes from their small garden plot, fertilized with Miracle-Gro. Abby was upstairs texting friends about a bonfire party at a classmate's house near Neuqua Valley High School. And Jake was in the driveway practicing his baseball swing with a wiffle ball bat, aiming for imaginary home runs over the fence. That's when Tom heard it. A muffled thump from the Hargroves' house next door, like something heavy falling to the floor, followed by a sharp, stifled cry that cut through the evening air. He paused, tongs in hand, cocking his head toward the shared wooden fence stained with bare semi-transparent from last summer's project. The Hargroves' kitchen window was open to catch the breeze, curtains billowing in the humid wind like ghosts in a low-budget horror flick. Another thump echoed, then a low voice, David's, hissing something unintelligible, laced with anger. Tom set down the tongs on the grill's side shelf and wiped his hands on his apron from Home Goods. "Hey, everything all right over there?" he called out, his voice carrying over the fence in that friendly Midwestern tone, half concerned, half casual, the way you'd ask a neighbor if they needed help jump-starting their car after a cold snap. The side door to the Hargroves' garage creaked open on rusty hinges, and David stepped out onto the concrete patio, wiping his hands on a shop rag stained with what looked like oil, or was it something darker like rust or dried paint? "Yeah, Tom, just dropped the toolbox in the garage. Clumsy as hell today," David replied, chuckling with that easy laugh that always seemed a bit too practiced, like he was reading from a script. He waved a hand in dismissal and disappeared back inside, the door clicking shut behind him. Tom nodded to himself, flipping the steaks on the grill's side shelf, and called the family to dinner with a shout through the screen door. But the incident nagged at him like a mosquito bite you can't scratch. Over dinner at the kitchen table, an oak set from Art Van furniture they bought on sale years ago, he mentioned it to Karen as she passed the salt shaker. "Sounded like a fight or something over at the Hargroves. Lisa okay?" Karen, pouring milk for the kids from a gallon jug of Oberweis dairy, a local favorite, rolled her eyes with a smile. "Tom, they're probably just arguing about what to watch on Netflix or who forgot to take out the trash. Not everyone has our perfect marriage where the biggest fight is over who controls the remote." She winked, but Tom didn't smile back. His fork paused mid-bite. "I'm serious." The cry sounded pained. Abby chimed in, scrolling her phone under the table. "Dad, you're such a worrywart. Mr. Hargrove is super nice. He fixed my bike chain last week." Jake nodded, mouthful of steak. "Yeah, and he lets me use his basketball hoop." Tom let it drop, but that night, as they lay in bed under the ceiling fan whirring on high to combat the humidity, Karen scrolling Zillow for lake houses in Wisconsin's Door County for a potential summer getaway, Tom flipping through channels on the Roku remote, landing on a rerun of Law & Order SVU on USA Network, he couldn't sleep. The ceiling fan blades spun overhead, casting shadows on the walls painted in Sherwin-Williams' agreeable gray, and outside, crickets chirped in the humid air, mingled with the distant rumble of a freight train on the BNSF tracks. He thought about the thump, the cry. Was it his imagination, amplified by too many episodes of Dateline on NBC, where Keith Morrison's voice narrated suburban horrors? Or was something genuinely wrong next door? The next morning, a Saturday, Tom was up early for his ritual jog along the DuPage River Trail, a 5K loop through prairie grasses blooming with wildflowers, underpasses occasionally tagged with graffiti by local teens sneaking out after curfew, and past other joggers in Nike running shoes and Lululemon leggings, waving hello with a friendly "morning." By the time he returned, sweating through his Under Armour tech tee and shorts, chugging Gatorade from the fridge, he was convinced he needed to pay more attention. It was the Midwestern way. Look out for your neighbors, like helping with snow removal or bringing casseroles when someone was sick, but with a dose of caution born from stories of the Chicago Tylenol murders in the 80s, or more recent suburban scandals like the Drew Peterson case in nearby Bolingbrook, where a cop-turned-killer hid bodies in plain sight. Over breakfast, pancakes made from Bisquick mix, bacon fried in a cast-iron skillet from Lodge, and orange juice from Tropicana, Tom watched from the kitchen window as David mowed his lawn with a Honda push mower, waving cheerfully with a gloved hand. Lisa was in the garden, weeding flower beds planted with tulips and hostas from the local garden center, her movements seeming stiff, deliberate. Was that a purple bruise on her wrist, peeking from the sleeve of her long-sleeved t-shirt, despite the 85-degree heat? Or was that just a shadow from the oak tree overhead? Tom decided to test the waters. Later that afternoon, while pressure washing his driveway with a machine borrowed from Lowe's rental, he casually wandered over to the fence as David tinkered in his garage. "Hot one today, eh?" Tom said, wiping sweat from his brow with a bandana. David looked up from his workbench, tools scattered like a Home Depot display. "Sure is. Need to borrow anything?" "Nah, just taking a break. You guys doing okay? I heard a bang last night, thought maybe something broke." David's smile faltered for a split second, then returned. "Oh, that. Yeah, toolbox slip. Lisa's fine. We're all good." Tom nodded, but as he walked back, he noted the garage's contents. Plastic sheeting rolled up in the corner, a large duffel bag zipped shut against the wall, and a roll of silver duct tape on the shelf next to cans of WD-40 and motor oil. It looked like a DIY project, but something about it felt off, like the setup in those crime shows where the killer preps his kill room. That evening, as the family watched The Mandalorian on Disney Plus in the living room, Tom slipped upstairs to his home office, a spare bedroom with a desk from IKEA, a desktop computer running Windows 11, and a window with a direct view over the fence into the Hargroves' backyard. He pulled out a moleskin notebook from Office Depot, the kind he used for work notes, and started jotting entries in neat print. June 15th, heard thump and cry at 7:45 p.m. David said toolbox. Lisa long sleeves and heat. Bruise? Karen found him there an hour later, the sun setting in a blaze of orange over the prairie horizon. "Tom, what the hell are you doing? You're spying on the neighbors." "I'm concerned," he replied, closing the notebook. "Lisa looks scared, and David's garage? It's weird." Karen crossed her arms, her teacher voice emerging. "Tom, this is crazy. You're turning into some vigilante from a Lifetime movie. If you're that worried, call the cops, but don't obsess. It's not healthy." Tom researched that night after Karen went to bed. Sitting at his computer with a can of Diet Coke on his Chrome browser, he Googled signs of domestic abuse, landing on sites like the National Domestic Violence Hotline and WebMD. Symptoms: isolation, bruises, mood changes, controlling behavior. Then, How to report suspicious neighbor, Illinois. The Naperville Police Department website had a non-emergency line, 630-420-6666, for reports, emphasizing community watch programs like Neighbors by Ring app integration and tips for spotting suspicious activity. Domestic violence protocols in Illinois required law enforcement to respond immediately if violence was suspected, with officers trained in de-escalation, mandatory arrest if probable cause for battery, and referrals to shelters like Mutual Ground in Aurora or the Illinois Coalition Against Domestic Violence hotline 1-877-863-6338. He didn't call, not yet, but the journal became a habit, entries growing. June 16th, David left house at 10:45 p.m., returned 2:30 a.m., SUV headlights off when pulling in, trying to be stealthy? As June melted into July, Naperville sweltered under a heat wave, temperatures pushing 95 degrees with humidity indexes making it feel like 105, the kind of weather that had residents blasting AC units from Carrier and seeking refuge in basements or the air-conditioned aisles of Meijer. The cul-de-sac adapted to the heat. Kids like Jake and his friends splashing in inflatable pools from Walmart set up in driveways, dads firing up oscillating sprinklers to water lawns turning brown despite hose bans, and moms sipping iced teas brewed with Lipton bags or lemonades from powder mixes on shaded porches with ceiling fans whirring. The annual block party was planned for the 4th of July. Fireworks smuggled from Indiana, technically illegal in Illinois, but a common flout. A potluck with Karen's famous macaroni salad made with Hellman's mayo and elbow pasta from Aldi, and a cornhole tournament with boards painted in red, white, and blue, prizes like gift cards from Target. Tom's vigilance intensified during those sticky weeks. He installed a Ring doorbell camera on his garage, angled to capture the shared driveway and part of the Hargroves yard, synced to his phone app for notifications. Footage showed David leaving at odd hours, 10 p.m. or midnight, returning before dawn with headlights dimmed, his Toyota Highlander sometimes splattered with mud as if he'd been off-road in the forest preserve. The garage lights stayed on till 2 a.m. or later, shadows moving behind the closed door like he was pacing, digging, or assembling something in the dark. Tom zoomed in on one video, David carrying heavy black contractor bags to the SUV, heaving them into the trunk with effort. Recycling? Or something more sinister like the body bags in Making a Murderer on Netflix? One afternoon, while pressure washing his driveway with a Karcher machine rented from Home Depot for $50 a day, Tom chatted with Lisa over the fence as she knelt in her flower bed, planting petunias and impatiens from the garden center at Wanamaker's. She wore long sleeves again, a light cardigan from Old Navy despite the sweltering heat, her face flushed. "Hot one today, isn't it?" Tom said, turning off the washer to hear better. Lisa nodded, not meeting his eyes as she patted soil with a garden trowel. "Sure is. David's at work, big project deadline." Up close, Tom saw it clearly. A purple bruise on her wrist, shaped like fingerprints, peeking from the sleeve as she reached for a watering can. "You okay, Lisa? If you need anything, talk, help with Ethan, Karen and I are here." She glanced away, eyes darted to her house. "I'm fine, Tom, thanks for asking." Her voice was tight, like she was holding back tears. That night, another fight erupted, voices carrying on the warm breeze through open windows. "You can't keep this up," Lisa yelled, her tone desperate. "Think about Ethan. What if someone finds out?" David's response was a low growl, "Shut your mouth or I'll shut it for you." Then a slap, distinct, flesh on flesh, followed by a sob. Tom's blood ran cold. He was in the living room, watching Yellowstone on Paramount Plus with Karen, but he bolted up, grabbing his iPhone from the coffee table. "Did you hear that?" Karen paused the show. "Hear what?" "A slap. They're fighting again." Tom dialed 911, his hand shaking. "I'd like to report a domestic disturbance at 1429 Willow Creek Lane, Naperville. I heard arguing and what sounded like a slap, possible violence." The dispatcher, calm and professional, took details. "Units are en route. Stay inside." 2 Naperville PD officers arrived in a Ford Explorer cruiser, lights off to avoid alarming the neighborhood, standard procedure for domestics to prevent escalation. They knocked on the Hargroves' door, flashlights in hand. Tom watched from his window as David answered, calm, inviting them in. Lisa appeared, arms crossed, denying everything. The officers left after 20 minutes, stopping at Tom's door. "Sir, we spoke with them. It's a marital argument. No visible injuries, no complaints. We'll file a report for the record." Illinois procedure for domestic calls. Officers must assess for immediate danger, separate parties if needed, offer resources like victim services cards with hotlines, and make an arrest if probable cause for battery, 720 ICLS 5/12-3-2. If no arrest, a written report is filed for patterns, and follow-up calls are made by victim advocates. Tom wasn't satisfied. "She looked scared. Check again." The officer nodded. "We did. Call if it escalates." Karen, now worried, hugged Tom. "You did the right thing, but be careful. They're neighbors." Tom's journal entries grew more detailed. July 2nd, fight at 9:15 p.m. Heard slap. Police called. No arrest. Lisa denying. He confided in his coworker Mike at Allstate over lunch at Chipotle, burrito bowls with extra guac. "Neighbors abusing his wife. Heard it myself." Mike, munching chips, shook his head. "Suburban drama. Call the cops, but don't get involved. Could backfire." But Tom couldn't stop. He researched more. Illinois Coalition Against Domestic Violence website, stories of hidden abuse in affluent suburbs like Hinsdale or Lake Forest. Signs matched. Isolation, Lisa skipping book club, bruises, controlling behavior, David always home when she was. One evening, Lisa slipped a note in Tom's mailbox while he was at Jake's baseball game at Commissioners Park. Folded paper. "Help me. Meet at Panera on 75th tomorrow, 10 a.m. Don't tell anyone. L." Tom's pulse raced. He showed Karen. "See? Something's wrong." The case exploded in the media. Chicago Tribune headlines, "Naperville engineer accused of serial murders." Dateline NBC did a special, interviewing Tom. "I knew too much. He stared at me like he wanted me dead." Trial in DuPage County Courthouse, Wheaton, 2025. Prosecutor from the state's attorney's office presented evidence, DNA, journal, Lisa's testimony. Defense claimed insanity, PTSD from childhood abuse. Jury deliberated 3 days, convicted on all counts. Life without parole at Stateville Correctional Center. Naperville reeled. Property values dipped briefly. HOA meetings discussed security cameras. Tom was hailed a hero in local papers, but family strained. Abby had nightmares. Jake asked questions. "You did right," Karen said. The cul-de-sac installed more lights, locked doors. Trust fractured, but life went on. Football games, riverwalk strolls, book clubs. In suburbs, darkness hides behind smiles. Tom learned sometimes knowing too much saves lives. In the months following David's arrest, Naperville's veneer of perfection cracked just enough to let the light in, or the darkness out. The story made national news, with CNN running segments on the suburban serial killer, interviewing psychologists from Northwestern University about how predators blend into affluent communities. Local Facebook groups like Naperville Moms and DuPage County News buzzed with speculation. "I knew the Hargroves, seemed normal. This could happen anywhere." Tom became the neighbor who knew, fielding calls from reporters at the Chicago Sun-Times and WGN-TV. He gave interviews from his living room, Karen by his side, emphasizing community vigilance. "If you see something, say something," he said, echoing DHS slogans. Allstate gave him time off, but work was awkward. Co-workers whispering, "That's the guy from the news." Karen struggled too. At Elmwood Elementary, parents asked about the killer next door, making her classrooms feel like interrogation rooms. She attended therapy at Edward Hospital's Behavioral Health Center, sessions covered by insurance, talking about the fear that had seeped into their home. Abby, in her senior year, dealt with gossip at school. "Your dad busted a serial killer?" But it boosted her college essay for Northwestern, "The Power of Observation in a Safe World." Jake had nightmares, seeing a therapist through the school district, drawing pictures of bad men in crayons. Lisa and Ethan moved to an undisclosed location, aided by victim services. Lisa testified via video, her voice steady but broken. "I lived in fear for years." David's trial details were gruesome. Victims lured with promises of work, killed in the garage with tools from Harbor Freight, bodies dumped in the forest preserve's remote trails. The journal read like a confession. Victim 3, male, approx 40, from under I-55 bridge. Resisted, took longer. Defense attorney argued diminished capacity, abuse as a child in Indiana, sealed record showing juvenile violence. Psychiatrist from Rush University testified to sociopathy. Prosecutor countered with premeditation evidence. Jury, 12 DuPage residents, mix of suburbanites, convicted after deliberating in the courthouse's jury room with boxed lunches from Panera. Sentencing? Life, no parole. David stared blank as the gavel fell. By fall 2025, Naperville tried to heal. The Hargrove house sold to a young family from Chicago, oblivious to its history. Tom installed more cameras, joined Neighborhood Watch, but scars remained. Tom jogged less, watched more. Knowing too much changes you, he told Karen. The cul-de-sac added a memorial bench in the park for victims, inscribed, "See something, say something." In America's suburbs, evil hides in plain sight. Tom Reynolds ensured it didn't stay hidden. Thanks for listening. If you want more cases from my old files, like the video and subscribe. There's plenty left in the casebook.